Hi there. My name's Sin, and this is going to be my first really structured and scripted video. And what I'm going to be talking about today is the concept of fatherhood in Fire Emblem and some of the themes that kind of come along with it. And I'm going to break this video up into two parts. Not two separate videos, but it's going to be a more structured part, something that I'm reading off of a script that I wrote. And then it's going to be a kind of free-form discussion, just let my thoughts ramble a little bit. So just a heads up on that, and I thank you for checking it out. Fire Emblem is a series in which the community has come to understand a few recurring tropes which appear throughout every game in the franchise. You'll always have an old man to lend you a hand, you'll always receive a low-level unit not worth training at endgame, and you'll always be celebrating Christmas. Out of all the tropes that players have come accustomed to, there's always been one that sticks out to me the most, and that's the main character's father dying. The majority of fathers in Fire Emblem tend to get a bad rap, as they're almost never given any type of development before being killed off by one of the game's villains. Despite this, fatherhood plays an important role in the franchise, and the themes that result from the different characters' relationships with their fathers help drive the narrative forward in a unique way. That is why in this video I'll be analyzing the different portrayals of fatherhood throughout the games, and taking time to dive deeper into a few specific fathers who I think bring up important themes. Be wary of spoilers. To begin with, we'll be going over some common themes that all fathers in the franchise seem to exhibit. The most prominent of these themes can be best summarized by the phrase, "the sins of the father." This phrase stems from books Exodus and Deuteronomy of the Bible, and can be interpreted to mean the transgressions and consequences brought on by the actions of the father then become the responsibility of the son once the father's died. This is easy to spot in Fire Emblem, as characters such as Sigurd, Fado, and Grail, through their own failings, whether intentional or not, condemn their children to inherit their burdens. This theme of one generation carrying on where another failed is the main catalyst for the events that unfold in different games. Another common theme among the fathers of Fire Emblem is imposing their ideals and beliefs on their children, or at the very least attempting to. Characters such as Chrom and Garen attempt to pass on their nature and ideals to varying levels of success. While wanting your children to understand and respect your ideals on different matters is not a negative thing in and of itself, a character like Garen who makes it a point to impose their views on their children is a negative example of this trend. Now, time to get into specifics, with the first father I want to talk about being Sigurd, from Genealogy of the Holy War. Sigurd is an individual who means well, but is often blindsided by his short-sightedness, and his tendency to be reckless often puts innocent civilians in harm's way. And while it was never his intention, Sigurd at times failed to understand the pains of the common man. Sigurd has a unique interaction among fathers in Fire Emblem, as he's able to impart knowledge on his son after dying. If the player defeats Arvis in Chapter 10 with Seliph, and then places Seliph next to a body of water, Sigurd and Deirdre will appear as apparitions, and Sigurd will impart knowledge onto Seliph that Sigurd himself did not fully comprehend during his lifetime. This duality of growth between father and son greatly exemplifies a trend common to fatherhood, being able to impart knowledge onto your children, and at the same time being able to admit to those same children, whether it be directly or not, that you yourself have made mistakes. This makes Sigurd truly unique amongst the father characters, and is why he's one of my personal favorites in the series. Another notable father in the series is Grail from Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Grail's a very interesting character, and offers a unique outlook on fatherhood, because unlike most of the main characters and their fathers, Grail and his children are not of noble descent. With this unique perspective, it allows us to get a more raw look at fatherhood in the Fire Emblem series, as Grail's paternal ideals and methods are not weighed down by the responsibilities that come with nobility. Grail is easily the most down-to-earth father in the series, but that doesn't mean he's any less strict when it comes to his children. Grail is very well aware of his own morality, and wastes no effort in attempting to prepare his children to live in a world without him, as Grail knows that sooner or later his past will catch up to him. Due to a combination of Grail's past and his occupation, he has a tendency to be harsh and strict when it comes to raising Ike especially. Even if some of these actions come off as mean-spirited, Grail is simply preparing Ike for the harsh realities of life, something that the majority of fathers in the series fail to do. Lastly, I want to discuss fatherhood and awakening and fates. And while some of the themes may be pretty simplistic, I do think that they are important to talk about. Both Awakening and Fates deal with paternal absence, whether it be voluntary or not. In Awakening, fatherhood is incredibly simplistic in most cases, as children are tied to the mother characters, excluding Crom and male Robin. The majority of father supports deal with the child characters attempting to deal with their father's absence in one of two ways. Either by making efforts to redeem lost time, or by trying to make amends and understand why their fathers had to die and leave them alone in the future. Fatherhood themes are much more varied in Fates, as the majority of children characters are tied to the father characters instead of the mothers. While all of the father and child supports in Fates are different in their own special way, there's one overarching conflict that all of the child characters deal with. The children of Fates often find themselves questioning why their parents had left them in the Deep Realms, and often show emotions ranging from confusion to anger when they question their father's decision, whether it be during a support conversation or a paralogue. In conclusion, fatherhood's ultimate role in Fire Emblem is to supply characters with their own motivation, and in most cases, help set a goal for our heroes to reach, ultimately succeeding where their fathers had failed and teaching them some important lessons and offering closure along the way. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And now this is going to be the more thought-driven part of the video. It's going to be very rambly, so if you're not into that, feel free to, step out now. I won't blame you. I can tend to get kind of rambly and repetitive, so I'm sorry in advance. But, yeah. I mean, fatherhood in Fire Emblem is a very interesting topic to me. It was one that, had been in the back of my mind for a really long time that I thought could use some explanation. And if I didn't make it clear in the scripted part, I do enjoy the majority of father characters. I think that, they're all flawed in their own way, but that's what makes them good. That's what makes them unique. That's what allows them to have character growth for the main character. Seliph wouldn't be where he was if Sigurd was alive. He wouldn't have to resort to the actions that he has resorted to, if that makes any sense. But, a big, it's not so black and white, I feel. Unlike, in cases of, Garen, yeah, pretty blanketed bad person overall, but I think a lot of the father characters just want to, they want the best for their children, but some of them don't take the initiative that they should to secure that, in my opinion. For instance, if you look at Binding Blade and Blazing Sword, Hector and Eliwood, they did what they could at the time. They bested Nurgle, they beat the dragon. But I feel like, sometimes I feel like there was more they could do. If they took more time to investigate this all. If they took time to figure everything out. Figure out the bigger picture and what was brewing. Something could have been done. And Eliwood and Lilina wouldn't be put in those positions that they're in the Binding Blade. Correct me if I'm wrong, please do, but at the end of Blazing Sword, were Eliwood and Hector not warned that something was going to happen in the future? Maybe that's just me remembering things poorly, but I feel like that was an important part of the end narrative of the game. So why didn't they do more? And that doesn't make them bad parents or bad characters, mind you. It's just, I feel like it's a recurring theme of kind of wanting the best for your children, but at the same time, you kind of think, well, are they doing enough? Was the best thing for Eliwood's dad to do charge headfirst into the Dread Isles? Probably not. That probably wasn't the best idea. But it was an action that led to Eliwood's emotional growth in the story. And the same argument can be made in terms of Eliwood and Hector not solving a problem before it happens. Ultimately, that results in Hector's death and another war breaking out in Alib, but at the same time, that opens up the opportunity for, you know, Roy, as bland as he is, to fucking grow as a character. It allows Lilina to grow as a character. It allows the children to now take the place where the father did. You know, Book 2 of Genealogy wouldn't exist if Sigurd got wise and took out Arvis before anything happened. It just wouldn't exist. So, you know, that's kind of the point of my tangent here, is that fathers are inconsistent sometimes, just like they are in real life. I'm sure you can relate to father figures being kind of inconsistent in terms of wanting the best for you, but not offering a solution to problems, or not solving problems. I know I can. Ultimately, I think that it's a very pivotal role. Fatherhood is a very pivotal role in Fire Emblem, and I think it would be good for us to remember that going forward. As the series continues, and as new characters are introduced and we get new stories, I think it's an important thing to keep in mind, because it really, really kind of exemplifies what a main component of Fire Emblem is, in my opinion, of course. You're free to differ with me, but I think it's a very important point in Fire Emblem. And for those of you wondering, you know, there are probably better examples that I could have picked from, like Eliwood and Hector. I just, you know, they didn't come to me at the time, which is why I kind of addressed them here. But just know that, you know, I do keep those in mind. I do think about them. You know, I think about Eliwood and Hector, and I think of, you know, these are just some examples that I thought would be fun to go over really quickly. But, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to tell me what you think. If you have any suggestions on what I should do next, let me know. And I hope you have a good one.